Disrespectful ignorance. That's what I'm going to call it. I just coined that phrase. Let me write that down. Tweet that. Disrespectful ignorance. Disrespectful ignorance is when you decide to be an idiot just because Joe Biden's an idiot. You stop talking about shotguns as home defense weapons because Joe Biden says a shotgun was a good home defense weapon. You stop telling teachers they can pick up scissors and use it to attack a bad guy because the Department of Homeland Security said scissors can be used to stop a spree attacker. Does that make any sense to anybody? That you would actually piss on that piece of advice because the Department of Homeland Security put it out, and you would rather they said everybody gets a gun and everybody gets training and everybody needs a gun all the time so that we can defend our schools better. You'd rather they said that, but they didn't. They said scissors could make a good improvised tool to defend yourself or your classroom. So now you're going to say scissors aren't a good improvised tool? Disrespectful ignorance. Doesn't make any sense. Scissors, sports equipment. Can't have sports equipment in the room? Okay, can I have an American history and traditions display hanging on the wall? Because baseball is an American tradition. There's a bat up there. I can pull that down and hit somebody in the head with it. So think about it. Get creative. Picking up a chair, throwing a desk, the mop, the fire extinguisher. What are we looking at? We're looking at attacker weaknesses. Human animals have weaknesses. What are they? How do we exploit them? How do we break them down? Vision, breathing, mobility. Can they move? Can they turn? If you put a 30-pound kid locked down on my arms on an M4 and two 30-pound kids on my legs and four more trying to push me over with chairs, what am I going to do? Right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can put enough kids, you can put enough weight, you can put enough coats, you can put enough chairs on any human being to disable their ability to fight, or at least hinder it greatly. And you keep working from there. But with cognitive control, coming back to distraction, then you hit them in the head. And they can't even make decisions. They can't keep up with the amount of stimulus that's coming in with that. And then lastly, we can attack the tools. If the person has the blade and we throw a cone on it and wrap it up, that blade ceases to be dangerous for some period of time. Right? If we know that there are ways, we're going to talk about the gun in a second, we know there are ways to make the gun less or not at all dangerous. Ma'am?
When I was taking martial arts 20 years ago, and I was helping teach the 7-year-old Ninja Turtles, sparring with those kids, those hard little fists at thigh level hurt.
Oh,
yeah. Any more than you.
And it's hard to defend against, because if you couldn't reach them, block.
Well, and the big part, a lot of it's cognitive control. No one's expecting, the bad guy's not expecting resistance. They picked this place because it was victims. Well, 30 kids rushing you with pieces of furniture, I'm not saying nobody's going to get shot, but I'm saying 30 people aren't going to get shot lined up in the back of the room with the bad guy just shooting at him as much as he wants to, as much as he can. That's all I'm saying. This is important. Demystifying the gun. This is a big agenda of mine. You're going to see a lot of this in my media and social kind of outreach over the next month or so. Demystifying the gun. The gun and the stapler. Every teacher knows what a stapler is. Every teacher has had a stapler fail. Every teacher has had the stapler run out of staples when they needed to staple the papers together. Every teacher gets this. And I don't care if you want to make it the coffee machine or your car, you can make it whatever you want. The stapler works really well for me. The gun needs to be reliable. Okay, first of all, people don't even realize the gun's jammed. They don't realize it's an option. All right, the guy out in Oregon, his rifle, he fired a couple shots, few shots, his rifle jammed. That caused the delay. That caused the confrontation with the CCW carrier. That caused him to retreat, fix the gun. Then by the time he gave up and shot himself in the back of his throat. Reliability is an issue. We need to just make people aware of that. Hey, by the way, the gun may not even work. And there's going to be an important reason why we want to talk about the fact the gun can fail. Ammunition. Obviously, eventually the gun's going to run out of ammunition, just like the stapler can jam, just like the stapler can run out of staples. Staplers run out of staples. Functioning. Functioning is how you use it, right? How many of us have ever put paper into the stapler and put the staple in the wrong place? Too deep, too shallow, half hanging off the paper. Every one of us have misused a stapler. People can misuse the gun. They can interfere with the functioning. They can jam it up. They can screw it up. And that ties into the operation, how you use it, when you use it. If we can create or take advantage of any of those failure points on a gun, it ceases to be dangerous, right? So as much as we want, we can talk about, you know, the slidey part of the gun has to move, right? So the slidey part of the gun has to move. If that has to move and I keep it from moving, if I block the back of it, if I grab the top of it, I may get one shot that goes off, but that's it. This gun is now jammed up. If I make the round circly part of the thing not be able to spin, I grab it really hard and hold on to it, it can't hurt anybody. If I get in the way of the little hammery part of the gun that moves back and forth, if I jam something in there or I smash it against the back of the gun and hold it in place or hold it down, the gun can't go up. If somebody's got a rifle and I smash down on both sides and grab on the top of it, I don't care if it's an M14 or an AR or whatever it is, the little thingy part that has to be ejected isn't going to get out, and that's going to cause it to stop being dangerous. And that's exactly how you talk about it. They don't need to know about slides and cases and the difference between a cartridge and a bullet and a round. They don't need any of that. Remember your 50-gallon drum. They need about half an ounce to understand it's just a mechanical device. Right? The little holy part. Put BBs in there. The little holy part has to be pointed exactly at a person to be dangerous. Right? If it's over here, it's not going to hurt you. If it's up here, it's not going to hurt any of you. If it's down here, it's probably not going to hurt any of you, and certainly not likely to kill any of you with bouncing off the floor. So if I can get the little pointy hole part pointed at the ceiling, pointed at the corner, driven against the wall, whatever it is, I suddenly make this a lot less dangerous than it was when the person had complete control over it. I'll even, depending on how far I go, I'll make the point that the rifle is easier to disable. The rifle is easy, it gives you leverage, it gives you more to hold on to, there's more to push away, it's more sensitive to damage. If you start smashing in on it, eventually you're going to find the button that makes the magazine come out. Just grab a hold of it, drive it into the ground, drive it to the corner, drive it to the wall, whatever it is. Demystify the tool. The gun is not a talisman of death and doom. And by the way, this also helps our Second Amendment stuff. The gun is not magic. It has to be reliable, it has to have enough ammunition. Now, remember I said something about teaching about reliability and reminding about the ammunition allotment. A lot of what we do speaks to stimulus response. We want to create patterns, right? Just like in disaster preparation, you know, you put the big rock in the back of your yard, and when the river gets to that rock, you put the stuff up on the couch, on the table. And when the river gets to the next rock, you put the important stuff in the car. And when the river gets to the next rock, you get in the car and you drive away, so that you're not the idiot on the roof saying, oh, it's going to proceed any minute now, waiting for the Coast Guard to come rescue you, right? You set the rock in place so you're not making a decision in the midst of the emotional moment, right? You make your decision in the sane moment, the lucid moment, when you're making a solid plan, setting up a strategy, and then certain things happen, and that causes you to enact your plan, enact your response. So one of the things I'll say is, you watch any of the surveillance videos of these actual incidents, when bad guys need to switch guns, when they have a malfunction, or when they're reloading, almost inevitably, every one of the examples we've seen, they stop. They aren't moving laterally and getting their reload done and keeping their eyes up. They stop. And they reach into their coat, they reach into their bag, they look at the gun. I teach this as a moment to act to these teachers or anybody, the doctors, anybody in the unarmed environment. The minute that the shooting stops, let that be programmed into your brain as the moment to take action. Because if you were locked in fear, if you were you couldn't deal with it, you didn't really think it was ever going to happen to you, you're looking at this person kill your friends, your students, whatever it is, the minute that they stop and look down and start messing with the mechanical thingy in their hands, get them. Yeah. That's your stimulus response moment.